I'm Richard Quest. I'm the Associate Vice President for the Center for Professional Studies, and it's my pleasure to welcome you here this morning to our instructor workshop. There are a lot of people here. This is fantastic. Thank you very much for coming out. I realize that this is probably the last 6 hours of our good weather this week, so I appreciate you sacrificing that and to be here with us. So I just want to take a few minutes and update you on a few things that have been occurring. This past week has been crazy, to be quite honest with you. State Education Department was here, and we hosted them Monday and Tuesday, all day, both days. And they were here as part of our accreditation review for the criminal justice and management programs. Now, as I'm sure you're aware, our nursing programs and social work, their accreditation falls under the Office of the Professions. And criminal justice and management falls under the State Education Department. And so in 2008, they were here to do a site visit, and they provided us with 34 recommendations at that time. And we've addressed all 34. They came back here this past week to see how we were doing. And we presented them with all sorts of information. But I do want to pass along to you a couple of the focal points that they are most concerned with and are interested in seeing progress in. So the first one, and probably the most important, is the use of Moodle. So contact hours, as you know, we have class once a week for 4 hours. For 5 weeks in general. Most of our classes run 5 weeks, so we have 20 hours of face-to-face contact time. And one of the items that is foremost in the State Education Department's eyes is, what do you do, or how are you meeting students' needs for that other 25 hours? Because in general, they're looking for 45 hours of contact time. And so we talked with them about the use of Moodle. And it's very, very important that we're using Moodle. And so John Locke, the director of the Wordman Office of Distance Education, actually he and his team put together a 2-hour presentation for the State Education Department. And we talked about the use of Moodle. Now we have some improvement to do with our use of Moodle. So let me ask you a question. How many of you incorporate Moodle extensively in your course? Now you don't. Thank you for raising your hand. I was going to say you don't have to raise your hand. So it's more of a rhetorical question, but that is, how are you currently using Moodle in your courses? State Education Department wants to know that, and we have to provide them documentation with regard to that. So as we're out there and we're promoting Moodle and we're setting up support lines for students and our faculty, this is why we're doing this. Because they come down here and they review how we're making improvements, and they want to see that documentation. They want to see the evidence that we have that we're doing that. And so that was one of their focal points. Another focal point was assessment and rubrics. So again, another rhetorical question. How many of you have an extensive assessment and rubric embedded right into your syllabus and into your course? And they ask us, and when they came down on Monday and Tuesday, we actually have to pull that information out. We put files together for multiple classes, and we have to present that documentation and evidence to them. Here it is in this class. And so for those of you sitting out there, we probably pulled out your class and you as the instructor and said, here's how this person is using this. Here's their assessment, here's their rubric. In addition to that, they ask for student papers, and if you recall, I think it was back in October, we talked about that electronic submission of final papers and so forth, and I want to thank most of you for doing that. We really appreciate it, because on Monday and Tuesday, I had to demonstrate for the State Education Department that we have those papers. We pulled them out ahead of time, and then Bob McHugh from State Ed, who was the lead person from State Ed for this review, said, okay, that's wonderful. Now we want you to go upstairs into your files, and we want 4 more per course that we've requested. And we have to present that information on demand. So it's very important that you please hand in those final graded papers with those remarks and feedback to the student on it, because we're required to do that. So this is why we ask for these things, and we really appreciate it when you provide us with that. They also wanted to know about professional development opportunities, and I kind of grinned when they asked for that because we knew that you were going to be here the following Saturday. And so we said, yes, we do this 3 times a year. We provide opportunities for our faculty to get together and network and talk with us, and we provide them with information, so we're very pleased to do that. And of course, we have to document all of that stuff. So that was Monday and Tuesday of this week, and you know, things were a little hectic. So we really appreciate your support and your help with all of this. You do a fantastic job. State Ed was actually very pleased. They were very pleased with what we have done. They see the tremendous amount of resources that we've pulled into piled into programs. In particular, again, in the Wortman Office of Distance Education, and just recently we hired another instructional support person there. So they're very pleased with what we're doing. They just have a few of these points that they continue to kind of harp on, and we'll continue to address those with your help. So having said all of that, I just want to thank you very much for being here this morning. I know that, I made a special choice for all of you this morning. And that was, I know that we're asking everybody to go back in and do the online orientation. We're asking everybody to do that. And evidently there's a question on there that has something to do with me and the color of my shirt. So I have worn specifically for you today the shirt. So there it is. I guess the answer's beige. So whatever. So yeah, I have a tough time with colors, but I just happened to choose that one this morning. So thank you very much for being here. We really appreciate all of your help and your support. You do a fantastic job. We had our students here, our cohort reps were here last Saturday as part of our student advisory board, and they had some wonderful things to do during the course of that day with regard to leadership, but they also provided us with tremendous feedback, and students really enjoy what you're doing. They really do. So thank you very much for that. So I'm going to turn things over here to John in just a moment. We are getting ready to talk about the theme for today, which is academic dishonesty. State Ed did talk about some of that. They're very curious about how we use Turnitin.com, what kind of feedback we give students. They asked some questions about plagiarism. And as you know, unfortunately, we have students out there who either don't know how to properly cite using APA style, and or for whatever reasons, whatever stresses they're under, they choose not to and take somebody else's work and actually use it as their own. To the point where, and State Ed asked us, what do you do about that? And so we're going to go through that with you today. We're going to talk about how do we prevent plagiarism, academic dishonesty, how do we educate students as to what that is, and in the end, what do we do if it's a recurring issue? And I can tell you that unfortunately I've been involved with the academic review board here on campus, and we have dismissed a couple of students this year due to academic dishonesty, plagiarism. To the point where, and this was new for me, I actually had a graduate student this year submit an application to one of our master's programs, and in their personal statement they actually plagiarized their personal statement. It didn't look quite right to me when I read it, and I just typed in the first line into Google, and up it popped. And I tracked it back to an online essay writing company. And it was a free one because it popped up right off the web, but they actually plagiarized their personal statement. So we're going to be talking about academic dishonesty today. So again, thank you very much for being here. I really appreciate it. I hope this will be a wonderful opportunity for you to reconnect with some of your colleagues and for us to present some information to you. And I know we're looking for some feedback from you as well.